everybody, and welcome back to Mounties Midweek. I'm Drew Patrick. On today's show, we review some record-breaking performances, we preview conference play for the field hockey team, plus we meet the new face in charge of the men's basketball program. The women's soccer team was in two tough matches this week. They welcomed the number 25 ranked Millersville to town on Wednesday. It was just over 6 minutes into the game. It's Bria Bittiger. Back to McNichol. They'll attack forward. She'll kick it forward. It's Bittiger. Had the first touch. A chance. Dive shot. And a goal for the Mounties. It's Bria Bittiger. The Mounties went into the half tied at 1, but the 25th ranked Marauders have a big second half and win the contest 2-1 after a late goal. Goalie Stephanie Moyer had an incredible career-high 17 saves. Mansfield then traveled to California, Pennsylvania on Saturday. Free kick early and Bittiger there to put the Mounties up 1-0. Next it's Alexis Biddle, and Mansfield takes the 2-0 lead. The Mountaineer defense held strong after a late goal, and Mansfield gets the victory 2-1. It is the first win of the John Schaefer era and snaps a 31-game winless streak. The Mountaineers return to action Saturday as they travel to face Indiana University of Pennsylvania, the Crimson Hawks. The Sprint football team traveled to Annapolis, Maryland to take on Navy. Third quarter, Adam Hutchison to DJ McLean for the first down, and with that catch, McLean becomes the all-time leading receiver in Mansfield Sprint football history. I spoke with McLean about his accomplishment.
I mean, it's definitely an honor. I'm blessed to be able to do it, be able to play football, past high school, and be able to be consistent at what I do. I definitely got to thank my coaches, thank my teammates. Thank all 9 of the quarterbacks that it took to, get to where I'm at. But, it's definitely an honor and a blessing.
The Mounties would fall in this game with the final a 55-6 defeat. The Mountaineers are on a bye this week before traveling to Waterbury, Connecticut to take on Post Saturday, October 13th. The cross-country team ran in the Paul Short Run this past Saturday in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Starting on the men's side, it was Ryan Clifford and Quincy Amabile leading the way. Clifford and Amabile crossed the line for 5th and 6th place finishes respectively in the 8K race with times of 26:13 and 26:20. On the women's side, Kenzie Jones was the top Mansfield runner with a 14th place finish in the 6K race with a time of 23:39. Lindsay Payne was the second Mountie in at 28th place with a time of 24:11. For complete results, head over to GoMounties.com. The team will have about a 2-week break before traveling to Albany, New York for the Albany Invite at 1 p.m. on October 12th. The field hockey squad had their last non-conference matchup with conference opponent Millersville in town. The Marauders took the game 2-0, but Brittany Ryan was spectacular. She had a season-high 19 saves, and Megan Griffin had 4 shots, 3 of which were on goal. Mansfield hosts Mercyhurst on Wednesday in the first game of the season that will count towards conference standings, before traveling to Shippensburg this Saturday. Now let's take a look at what else is coming up this week in Mansfield Athletics. Do not go anywhere because Sports Talk is on the other side of the break.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II, We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
Welcome back here. Let's switch gears now and talk Mansfield soccer as we're joined by two individuals from the soccer team, Alexis Biddle and Bria Bittiger. Thank you both for stopping by.
Thank you.
So let's talk about last week. It was a big week. It opened up against a ranked opponent, and you guys played pretty well against this ranked opponent. What did you see from that Millersville game that really helped you? We'll get on later in the week, but really helped you in that one?
When we played Millersville, I just feel like it was a team effort. It was the first time this season that I really saw us play for each other, and there was a certain spirit that's been kind of lacking for the past couple of years, and I think with John Schaefer in the mix, he's really, opened our eyes, and we've had way better opportunities this season.
Yeah, with no doubt, I feel like for once we actually played with heart, and we actually worked for each other and for our coach, and it's a huge difference within the team. You can see everyone goes out there and they care about the sport again, and it's just a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it was a loss, but ultimately when you can hang with a team that is ranked, how does that build the confidence of your team?
Well, after that match, we kind of took it as a win personally for us. We didn't get the results on the board, but I think we outplayed them most of the game, if not the whole game. So after that game, he kind of focused on more that Rome wasn't built in a day. So we're working towards small victories, bigger improvements to kind of work towards winning games, which we have. So we're getting there.
Yeah, I think it was a big start. For once, we actually could believe in the team again, and we had faith in that. Even though we didn't get the actual win, we felt that we can do it. We showed in that game that we can compete with other teams, and it just gives us the more confidence for the rest of the season that we are capable of it.
And then came Saturday, and that victory. Went to Cal and got a victory. First, how did it feel to be able to leave the pitch as a victor?
It's really crazy because we broke a 32-game losing streak, and I think when the whistle blew, we didn't really know how to act because we didn't really remember the feeling of actually winning a game, and there were so many emotions, and we were all just overjoyed, and it really is Mansfield 2.0. We say that, and it's a whole different team this year, and it's really nice to see and be a part of.
Yeah, I think it was awesome just hearing some of the people on the team saying wow, I've played with these girls for a year, and they're I've never won a game with you, and it was just it creates such a great bond between the team now that we can all say that together.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that game. What were the keys to really attack early in that game and get the victory?
I'm gonna say number one would be aggressiveness and a certain cohesiveness between the players on the field. I think we really played for each other, and we grinded it out until the end. I mean, they came close, but the defense held up. Everyone as a group, we just played well and held it out for our win. So
I think it was we actually, for once, I feel we transferred things that we work on in practice to the game, both the goals, set pieces. That's something we work on so much in practice, and it's just comes down to the game. You just have to finish your opportunities, and that's exactly what we did. We just took advantage of our opportunities and we finished them.
Yeah, I mean, and shout out to Chelsea Thomas. Without her direct kicks that game, it was just amazing to see.
And Bria, you've had 3 goals now in the past 3 games. How does it feel to really go on a streak like that and go on a bit of a roll here at the middle of the season?
To me right now, it's sort of a relief because I'm a senior, and I feel like last year we didn't really get the respect that we deserved. And I think it only really just took one, and I think if I just roll with it and everyone just keeps playing together as we are, like, it's going to keep getting better from here.
And then Alexis, you come a little bit unique because you're a 2-sport athlete, or 3, I guess we could say 3-sport athlete as well with indoor and outdoor track. But how does that help for your training to be able really to be in a competition all year long?
I mean, it's 2 completely different sports. Like, people always ask me which one I like better, and it's just like I go from like a team sport where like track is a team sport, but it's not, like, it's more so individualized. And I think that during soccer season, I just love it so much because I love how, like, no matter what happens, like, all of your teammates, especially this year, are there to like pick you up and everything. And like, I mean, I've had like bad games like right after, like my roommates will come over, they'll be like, Alex, come on, pick your head up. And like, it's just such a good feeling, like knowing to be like on the team. And like, especially our coach this year, he's so helpful. I mean, like, he'll text me and he'll be like, Alex, great game, like, keep it up. And like, they're just like so like confident. I just like love it.
There's a new sense of like reassurance that we didn't really have, and I think having Schaefer here now and hopefully for years to come, I think our program is gonna skyrocket from here. It's only the beginning, I see it as.
So you've mentioned his name a couple times, but really what has been the difference with Coach John Schaefer coming in?
A good sense of direction and enthusiasm that we've never had before. He makes us want to play for the team. He makes us want to play for the school. He makes us want to play for each other. And that's something that we've never seen before, or I've never seen before since I've gotten here. And he's just a great coach. He has so much knowledge to offer, and I hope he stays. So.
Yeah, I would just think his positivity, like, no matter what, even after a game that we didn't play well, he always finds the good things about the game to like work on and everything. And his positivity is just unreal. It's awesome.
So at the beginning of the season, you lose a goalie to an injury who was an all-conference goalie, but having the 2 freshmen who have come in and really stepped up this year, how does that build the confidence that, you're dealing with an unfortunate injury to a senior captain, but players like Stephanie Moyer and Brianna Royce can come in and be effective in the games that they've been in?
Yeah, I think it's really nice to see underclassmen step up like that. I think Stephanie is very skilled. She just needs more exposure because she's a freshman. And I think when BK stepped in for that game, like, she played amazing, and like, shout out to her. It's nice to see talent from the younger girls, because it's like what they will only have more to offer once they get older. So.
And then this week, a bit of a break here in the middle of the week, but of course at the end comes IUP. Let's talk about that. What do you expect from that team in that game?
I mean, I think it's going to be a hard competitive game, and we can't walk into the game thinking like, oh, we just came off a win, like we've been playing so well. Like, we have to keep up the intensity we have, and that's going to be our biggest thing for the rest of the season, is to stay confident and keep up the intensity for like the rest of the season. I mean, if we play the way we've been playing, then there's no doubt we can compete with every other team in the PSAC.
Yeah. To me, it's more like we're on the radar now. We're in the process of creating a name for ourselves again after many years, and I think going into our next game, our mentality should be just keep working together, and like good things will come out of it.
So with this longer week of preparation, is that a benefit for you guys? That way you can kind of regroup, or is that some kind of a downfall because you're waiting so long and you're antsy to get back in the game?
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, after the last game, I can't wait to play again. I don't know about you.
Yeah, like ready to go.
Yeah. But we definitely need a week to kind of regroup and talk about strategies, because we've been watching film, scouting other teams, and I think our next game is another winnable game, and we can just build off of that. So.
And then lastly, with that in mind, how do you keep that emotion in check going into that next game, coming off of a monumental win, and to be able to focus and as Coach says, do your role and do your job?
I would like to think about that pressure in sort of a positive light. I think if we look at it from a positive perspective, only good things can happen. And I think as long as we stay composed, we talk a lot about composure and playing together, I think we'll have some pretty good chances on Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we just have to stay relaxed and be confident within ourselves, and confident within our teammates that we can rely on each other.
All right, thank you both so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
Much more after the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back here to Sports Talk. Let's switch gears now and talk some men's basketball as we have the new head coach with us, Mr. John Senesi. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks, Drew. No problem.
So you've been with the program, helped out with the program since 2014. How is that going to help now that you have moved up to that head role?
Well, transitioning into a head coaching position, it can be quite challenging, but I think the past few years I've been able to work for Coach Miller and Coach Zipfeld. So there's a couple different philosophies of doing things, and I was pretty heavily involved with the recruitment process of the current roster. So I had a relationship going into this season already with many of them. So it's the transitions hopefully going pretty smooth so far, as smooth as can be expected at this point.
And you know what, with that, the fact that you have that relationship with it, does that make it easier for them to buy in if there's any sort of differences in your coaching styles?
I think many times it can. There will be some changes in terms of what I think we're going to be doing on the season, maybe some differences in X's and O's, but a comfort level was already there with many of the players and me. And some of the things that Coach Zipfeld had already implemented, we're going to continue. So the familiarity is there already. So it should make it hopefully a little bit easier, and some buy-in will continue with the players.
And so what are some of the differences in your coaching style to Coach Zipfeld's?
I'm not sure yet, truthfully. Every head coach has been in my shoes at one point where they've never been a head coach before, and sometimes you have to develop your own philosophy over time. But with this team, we do have a few returning players, but a lot of new faces, and we're going to have to try to figure out the best style of play for our team, given the resources we have. We're going to try to match the personnel we have with a style of play so that it will hopefully give us a chance to be as successful as possible.
And going back, what was it about, of course, being here that made you say, you know what, I'm going to be the guy to fill this role. I'm going to be the guy to step up as head coach?
If you would have said to me 20 or 25 years ago I'd be sitting here in this position, I would have told you you're crazy. I was a student here many years ago, it seemed like forever, and had an opportunity to work with Tom Ackerman as the head coach back then, and also assistant coach Pat Donnelly at the time. And I learned a lot from those two in terms of how to organize a program. Recruiting, scouting. Back then there was no internet, there was very little video, so there was a lot of different approaches to things at the time, and from that point on, after graduation, I got into coaching at the Division III level, and realized I think this is probably what I am meant to do, but at the same time decided for many reasons to leave it as a full-time position. And but when I'd come back to work here in 2001 in the admission office, and then transitioned to financial aid, I think it was about that point in financial aid, about 5.5 years ago, that it seemed to be like this could be something I really want to get back into. Started a family, and the kids are still young, but they're a little bit more independent than they were 5 years ago. So it seemed like a natural fit, but really a natural fit at Mansfield. I wouldn't have pursued anything else, any other options anywhere. I had opportunities to coach at the varsity high school level that I decided at the time, I think it's better to stick with Coach Zipfeld and learn some more from him, X's and O's, game management, and all of his skill level that he brought to the program. So for me, it was almost a natural fit, and I'm very fortunate to be sitting here right now.
And I've talked with Coach Brittany Hansrod about this, but how special is it to be able to coach at your alma mater? And what does that add to whether it is your passion or just your drive to this team? The fact that this is your alma mater, what does that add for you?
Oh, it's huge. The success we had in the past years on the basketball court is, the history books are there. You can read about it. I've been able to experience some of that, but in a way, I feel more pressure at this point in time because I've felt a lot of support from alumni, current students, community members, faculty, you name it, and I feel like I'm not here to let them down. This is my alma mater. It's their place of employment. It's their school as well as mine, and I want to work harder just to make sure that we have a successful season for all of that. Had it been a brand new situation for me where I didn't know anyone and maybe didn't have a lot of support, it would be me and this team, and we're going to try to build something for now, and I want to be good now. We want to win now, and because that's what I'm used to doing at Mansfield and even at the high school level, coaching at that level as well. Had some success in winning district championships, and so I feel like it's unbelievable to be sitting here as an alum. This place has given me so much over the years that I've been able to try to give back, and now I want to have our players have as positive and successful of an experience as we've had in past years.
And let's talk about this team this year. You've had your first couple of practices as the head coach here. How do you feel they have dealt with this transition? It was very quickly brought on them, but how do you feel in your first couple of practice they have gone with this change?
I've learned a lot in the last week and a half about this team. When Coach Zipfel announced he was taking another position, some of the guys felt like it was a punch in the gut, but what I realized afterwards is, and from text messages and conversations I've had with them, is they understand. They understand what Coach Zip, why he did what he did, and that tells me a lot that we have a pretty resilient group. That adversity is going to hit them, but you know what? They're going to hit that head on, and we're going to build something and move forward because there's nothing they can do to change Coach Zipfel leaving, and now what we're left with, myself and hopefully an assistant coach here in the next week or so, and we're going to build something that's theirs. It was Coach Zipfel's. Now I don't want to use the term mine. It's us collectively, and so I think the team has handled it very, very well. Compared to the way I think many of them could have handled it, and I think the buy-in now is going to have to be with me, and it's happening. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to prove yourself as a head coach, and that's a slow process because right now we can't practice every day until October 15th. So right now it's gradual, which is probably pretty good.
This early season and preseason is rapidly coming up here. What is your focus, especially in practices, this early season period or preseason period? What are some of the things when you can get together you focus on?
What I want to focus on is getting in shape, both physically and mentally. Coach Ernie Ruck does a great job preparing them for the season. The season is a long grind, and I've told them that the more they can prepare their bodies today, the better they'll be prepared for that long grind when we get into January and February, and their bodies are starting to deteriorate from just being beat up a little bit. But the better they're prepared, they're going to be ready for that situation. And the style of play, I've discussed a little bit of that, and what I see with our team is something a little bit different than in the past. You can look at the statistics from past years. We haven't shot the ball very well from the perimeter. This year we have some guys that actually can shoot the three-pointer pretty well. So I think we need to take advantage of that, and so far they seem pretty happy about that.
And there's a lot of new faces on this group. How important is it, especially preseason, to get that team chemistry up as well?
It's extremely important and an ongoing process. With as many new faces as you mentioned, Each person has their own personality, and what makes them tick is a little bit different. And that's something I still have to learn on some of the new players especially. But the thing that, with Coach Zipfel's departure, how they've handled it up until today, we've got a really good group of people. And that's exciting for me, to have guys that are going to work together, buy in, they're unselfish. I've watched the ball move in practice from sideline to sideline, up and down the floor, making the ball move without hitting the ground. They don't care who they're hitting the open teammate regardless of who it is. There's no selfishness, and that's exciting right now for me to see and have such a good group of young men.
And Coach, I'll get you out of here on this. I know we're very early on into this, but what are your maybe way too early expectations for this year?
I laid it out when I first met with the team, I guess it was a week and a half ago, to announce I was going to be their head coach, which was probably not a huge surprise at that point in time. I think they all saw the writing on the wall coming. But I told them my expectations minimally are to make the PSAC playoffs this year. It's something that has not happened in several years, and with the talent in the room and sticking together, to me that's almost a minimal expectation. And I told them, let's not look too much beyond that. I don't want to be talking NCAA tournament and things like that, because you can't get into that without making the playoffs first. So once you're in, you can't win if you're not in. So we've got a chance to kind of control some things and do work hard and make that an initial focus. So I think we're all on the same page with let's get into the PSAC East playoffs and see what happens.
Well, Coach, congratulations once again on becoming the head coach here.
Thank you.
And I wish you the very best.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Drew.
And Sports Talk rolls on after this. Don't go anywhere.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
Welcome back here to Sports Talk. Let's talk field hockey here, as we're joined by head coach Brittany Handroth. Coach, thanks for coming back.
Well, I'm glad to be back.
So let's talk about this past weekend. The number 5 team in the country came into town. They come up with the victory, but we saw some fight in the girls. What did you see from that game?
Well, the first half was definitely a hard-fought battle, back and forth between both teams. We went into the half 0-0. Statistics were fairly even. They had an advantage with shots a little bit more, but corners, we were only separated by a difference of 1. So we had our opportunities for sure, but we struggled to capitalize the whole game. They had a lot of really close opportunities in the first and second half, and of course scored their 2 goals in the second half. They made an adjustment from first half to second half, where we talked about adjustments we wanted to make, but I think where we fell short was that we struggled to adjust to the adjustment they were making in the second half. I think that was a big thing, and then we sort of just kind of let that then overtake us mentally, and that really showed in the second half, just in the stats and just in the field of play in general. Millersville was really, really pushing down the field and got some 2 nice goals, but just some breakdowns on our end. And we're in a good place as a program, and we're still heading in a good place. But I think those moments just show sometimes still a little bit of that young mentality, or just them getting over that hurdle.
Is it hard to, especially with a growing program, and some of these players who have seen a bad season as well, to really grow into that mindset of, hey, we can do this, we can fight? Is that a hard switch really to flip?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what you're hitting the nail into the coffin right there, hitting the nail on the head. That's exactly what I'm referring to, is that 3 years ago when we didn't win a game all season, that was a struggle. And the seniors right now, one of them, Gabby, was part of that crew. Then the big junior class was part of the year that we only won 2 games. So yeah, I mean, certainly it is a big struggle, and you need to learn how to win. Like that's big. When you're just constantly losing and you're not used to winning, like you're not used to that, and you need to learn how to win and get used to that. Because I think for them it's a different mentality, and like sometimes you need to muscle through things, you need to make adjustments, or you need to be mentally tough, and like there's still some of those lapses. But I mean, without a doubt though, we're still second in the country in shots and corners, so like I'm really happy about some things. And I honestly, a 2-0 loss to them, number 5 in the nation, like it's not the worst thing. I mean, we've seen worse days, so I know we're on the right track. I know we're doing the right things, and that's what I keep focusing on, and that's what I keep hitting home with them. Like, okay guys, we're on to the next game. We can't take back what happened, you know, but we're gonna move on to the next game, and we're gonna learn from this game. Take what you can learn from it.
One of the bright spots in that game, Brittany Ryan had a season high 19
Yeah.
saves. Look, to get Brittany, is she yet really for this season hit her stride? Is she at her stride, or do you think she even has spots that she can improve on?
Definitely spots. I'm not going to give away anything, but there's things that she knows we know that we're still trying to touch on and hone in on. But I don't know. I don't want to jinx anything. She had a phenomenal game against Millersville. But she's so humble, so I think like she'll never boast about herself ever, which is something I love about her. But no, I don't think she has just yet, but I think she's on to something. She's starting to figure things out this year, and I think that's really showing.
So this upcoming week, we officially move into conference play. We faced a couple conference opponents in non-conference.
Right.
But now comes the conference, and it's some familiar opponents as well. Mercyhurst and Shippensburg, but switched fields for this time. So Mercyhurst comes to us on Wednesday. That was a win the last time you guys faced them. What did you learn from that game that's going to help you in this game?
Oh, well, I remember you interviewing me after that game because you were there. I said it back then, like it's always a tough battle between us and Mercyhurst, just because like just the styles of play, they're so different than our style, and like you'll find that with teams, the way you differently match up against certain teams, like sometimes it just could be better or worse, or you struggle more. But we always fight hard with them. But something I definitely learned from that game, and I think our girls did too, finally, was like, okay, first off, how to come back. We were losing, we were down 1-0, so finally we hit that mark, and that was big. But then also just like, I think we need to take away that like when we get on a run, we have to capitalize, because we got on a run for a good run and we got 1 goal and we really should have gotten 2. And just like certain things like that, like we still have to get over that little hurdle. But we started dominating that game, and that's where I mean, like we got 1 goal out of it, but we got to get more, because it's just so important. So take advantage of the opportunities we have. And then I just think just tweaking certain things with their press, the way they come out of the backfield. And so I think like it was good to know from last game playing them that we learned and we kind of know what to expect coming into this Wednesday, because we've already physically played them. And so I think that's going to give us an advantage.
I was just going to say, what kind of advantage the fact that you've played them opposed to watching film does that give to you guys?
Yeah, well, so now we can go back to the film of us playing them, so which is what we're in the process of doing now leading into Wednesday. So we can break down our corners against them, their corners against us, their press, how they came out of the backfield, what we did that was a struggle, what we did that worked. So just kind of to have a better game plan going into the game that's going to help us. It's always better when you physically played them, because then they have that visual memory too. It's not just like seeing another player, how did another random player stack up against them? It's, how did I stack up? Because the girls can all go back on too, and that's the neat thing about our film exchange. They can log on and they can watch themselves too.
Is it a plus or is it kind of a bit of a negative that you guys have beaten them already? Because could you come in a little overconfident, or do you think that this team will buy in, do the work, and should come out and have a successful game?
Yeah, that's a good question that I often question myself, because knowing my team, they're not at that point yet as a program that they're like overly confident. So I think when we play those stronger teams, that's where that shows, and that struggle, that's when we struggle, is like they're not overly confident. So then you go in against like Millers or these tough opponents, then they're like struggling. So I would say no, they're not overly confident, but I am definitely going to be giving them a strong reminder that just because you beat them this time doesn't mean you're going to beat them next time. Like, you have to put in the work. So, but that's I always tell them that. I say show up right away and play all out. I've said this before last time we interviewed, never take a playoff, because that's when the other team can get an opportunity, and you just never know. And
then the weekend comes, you travel to Shippensburg. Speaking of tough opponents and trying to find that confidence, where do you build that confidence, especially when you're traveling to such a good program?
Yeah, I think, again, it's going to help the girls that they did play them. I don't think necessarily, once again, the lack of confidence is a struggle with a lot of them right now as far as a team, maybe not so much as individual players, but you more so see it like as a team it shows. Going into a team like Ship, I mean, they got beat by a couple teams, so nobody in the conference is undefeated at this point. So I think that helps people. Like, all right, it's not like a team's out there is undefeated, but going into teams like that, they just need to show up and not take plays off, and I keep pushing them, like, get over that hurdle, just get the courage, you're fine. Like, I always tell them they are a really good team. They literally could be any team. They could, but they have to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and I think that's where we're at, honestly.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And Mounties Midweek rolls on after this. All right.
All right, cool.
Easy as that.
Yeah. I don't even know if I answered that last question.
No, you did.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
All right. That's good.
It is once again time for Play of the Week. But before we get to this week, let's talk about last week. It was Dana Evans against Bria Bittiger, and the closest back and forth vote we've had this season. Your winner is this play from Dana Evans. This week we have two plays for you. The first one comes from Sprint Football, and it's this pass from Adam Hutchison to DJ McLean that made DJ McLean the all-time leading receiver in Sprint Football history for Mansfield. That play is against another historic moment. It's the goal here from Alexis Biddle, and Mansfield ended up winning that game. They snapped a 31-game winless streak. So you can vote for which one of those plays is your play of the week by heading over to Twitter at Mountie All Access, and you can vote, and as always, results will be revealed next week. That's all we have for you today. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield Athletics, head to GoMounties.com. Thank you so much for watching.